Good afternoon, or good morning, I guess, depending on where you're joining from. Just making sure that I'm live here, and it looks like I am good to go. Very good. Okay. So good afternoon. Carol Buckalew with Inky Bee Stampers. I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And today I have a pretty little card. I needed a sympathy card for a dear friend of mine who just lost her brother. And I used the Countryside Inn 12 by 12 designer series paper on this card. You'll see several different layers of this paper on the front of the card. And then I went to the paper florist dies to create these sweet little flowers to coordinate with the paper on the card. So this is a super easy card. It's just an A2 landscape card, so quite easy to create, and we can go ahead and get started. Hey Mary, thank you so much for joining, and thank you, appreciate it. So I do have just a tiny bit of stamping to do. There's not really a whole lot of stamping on this, and this card should not take a whole lot of time really to put together. But I do have a sentiment label with the sympathy sentiment, heartfelt sympathy, and excuse me, I am going to stamp that onto a piece of, and I knew I would forget the name, Boho Blue, so sorry. When you get all the blues together, hi Faith, thanks so much for joining. When you get all of the blues together, it's kind of hard to remember which one you're looking at. I am going to, I've got the blues out. I'm going to just go ahead and stamp my sentiment. I want to make sure that sticker on my sentiment is lined up. It looks like it's fairly well lined up. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment here on the right side of this label. I'm going to center it top to bottom as best I can, but I want to stamp it over here towards the right because I am going to be placing a flower on the left side of this, and that's stamped pretty nicely. Let me close. Well, no, let's not close this ink yet. I'm going to put a flower on the front of my envelope, and this flower is from the Lasting Joy stamp set. And this stamp set, these flowers go really nicely with the Countryside Inn paper. And I should have mentioned this. The sentiment that I'm using today came from the Seaside Bay stamp set, but certainly, you know, pull a sentiment from whatever set, you know, you prefer. But let me get this large single flower stamped onto my envelope front, and then we will be done with all of the stamping. And I'm going to stamp this flower in Night of Navy right here in the corner. I think my Night of Navy needs to be re-inked. I really do. Stamp it right here in the corner of the envelope front. Yeah, I like the blues too. They really are among my favorites. And get out my Boho Blue ink, and I'm going to stamp the small flower center in the middle here of this flower. And that will be it for the stamping. Okay, that is it. So really big day today at Stampin' Up. Stampin' Up today only is offering free shipping for orders of $75 or more. So great time to get the things you'd like to get on your wish list, and yeah, grab that shipping savings, because that's huge. But you must place your order today to get that free shipping before 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time tonight. So be sure you get your orders in on time. If you're doing an online order, don't wait till the last minute. I'm just going to going and matting up my sentiment label onto a piece of basic white cardstock. Yeah, and you know, in the free shipping, they also have during the month of June designer series paper sale going on, and so the paper is 15% off, the designer series papers. So you definitely want to check that out for sure. All right, before I get to the card front, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to adhere a small strip. I think this strip is, yeah, about 3/4 of an inch wide. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the side of my inside panel. Rather than stamping, I opted to just use a piece of the designer series paper. It's just so pretty. And just run a little bit of glue down there on the side and line this up and make sure it's flush there on the top and the sides. Give it a good press down. And let me grab my paper snips here and I'll just trim this little excess off. And it looks like it's not. There we go. There we go. Okay. That paper slipped on me, but it's still moving a little bit, so it's all good. There we go. Okay. So I have here a base in Misty Moonlight, which I just adore this color. This is a returning color, which I'm so glad that it's, when I first joined Stampin' Up! As a demonstrator, we had Misty Moonlight and then it went away. I was very sad, but it is back now. And so that is one of the colors in the Countryside in Papers, Misty Moonlight. And I just adore it. All right. So that is our inside panel. Get that put in there. Okay, and we can start working on the front of the card. And like I mentioned, I've got several panels of paper here. All of the measurements for this card will be on my blog tomorrow. This card is a sketch challenge for the Happy Ink and Thursday blog hop. So I'll also have the links for the blog hop up tomorrow on my blog. So be sure to check that out and check out the other blogs tomorrow as well. But yeah, fun. So this card was designed for the blog hop sketch challenge. And I'm going to first put this lighter. If you notice, I'll just point this out real quick. When I was selecting the papers from the Countryside In pack, I went with a lighter shade and then kind of a medium shade of paper and then with a darker shade just for the contrast. So when you're combining kind of all of these prints and blues, that's kind of a good rule of thumb to go with a, you know, light, medium, and dark shade to make sure that you have the contrast going. And I'm just going to use my sample card here as a reference when I'm putting these together. So let me go ahead and start getting this glued up. But this paper is just precious. Like the reverse side of this is little bunnies and flowers, but just so cute. And this is going right here on my card front. And I'm looking for an equal reveal all the way around here on my card base, and that looks good. And then this next piece is going to sit right over here, kind of to the left, and centered from top to bottom. No, there is no ugly paper in the Countryside In suite, that's for sure, Faith. And I did check this afternoon. The Countryside In Designer Series paper, it's 12 by 12 paper, is on low inventory. So if you need it, grab it while you can. and grab it today when these, you know, we have free shipping. Because, you know, it's hard to say how long it might take for the paper to come back in stock, you know. The Countryside In paper is low inventory, as is the Hello Irresistible paper, which is one of the online exclusives. Yeah, Faith, I'm going to order a pack as well, because my pack is getting down to the nibbins. Okay, and then our dark print is going over top, and this one's going to hang to the right, and then I'm going to also center this one from top to bottom. So the rain has started here in the Mid-Atlantic. We are supposed to be getting, I think, 5 days of rain. So we went from extremely dry conditions to now it's going to rain just, you know, forever. But we need it. We do need the rain. It's all good. Just as long as it's not flooding and torrential, it'll be good. I just need to hold this up to make sure I got that straight. That looks fairly straight. Okay, that is pretty much the base of our card. I am going to go ahead and put my sentiment label on now, and that sentiment label is going to hang to the right and just over the edge of this last panel I adhered, but before I get to the card edge. And I'm going to put this on with Stampin' Dimensionals, and I am being I'm being decadent today. I'm using whole dimensionals because I didn't have any cut up, and I didn't feel like cutting any up. I'm being a little lazy today. So I just get the dimensionals on here. And actually I did want whole dimensionals for the flowers that I'll be putting on my card. Yeah, so we've got the Designer Series paper sale going on right now. And we've got the free shipping for today. And come July 6th, we will have some new online exclusives. I did preview a couple of those online exclusives just recently on this week on my blog. So be sure to check that out. There's a fun horse and sleigh suite. And then there is, I'm forgetting the name of the other one that I just highlighted today on my blog. It's terrible. Timeless Charm. Timeless Charm. I think that's it. Okay, so we have our sentiment on. So what is left here are the flowers, and these were created, as I mentioned, with the paper florist dies. Now, these flowers, I'm going to turn the card up on its side. You can see these flowers have a bit of lift to them, but I will tell you that this card does fit in an A2 size envelope. You'll be able to get it closed and everything. The only thing I would recommend is putting a piece of, you know, vellum or scrap cardstock on top of the card before you put it in the envelope, just to help it travel a little better. But because of the layers on this card and the thickness, it won't be machinable, so it will require extra postage. It's not an especially heavy card, but because of the layers, definitely you'll need that extra postage. So for the flowers, I used as I mentioned, the paper florist dies, and I cut out a flower in Misty Moonlight with this die, and Misty Moonlight and Boho Blue, and then I used this die to create the smaller flower in Balmy Blue, and I used this flower center, and one of these flower centers as well for my flowers. And I did pre-assemble 2 of my flowers, and one I thought I would just share with you. I do have another video showing how to use these dies, And you can always, you know, scroll back and look for that video. It wasn't too long ago. And then this is the Cheerful Daisies dies. And I pulled out this little leaf sprig to use on the card as well. And I die cut that twice in white. And it goes quite pretty with the blue. So for our flowers, I did pre-assemble 2 of the flowers, but I still have one here to assemble. Just grabbing my pieces here. And I have already, so when you use that one particular die cut, it gives you 2 kind of large and 2 smaller petal sections. I have already curled up the sections on the large pieces, but I thought I would share with you again, you know, how I curl these up. I just simply take my bone folder. You want to kind of grab that flower just past the center. I actually ripped a petal off of one of my little flowers, and you don't really need a lot of pressure, but I'm just simply placing the flat of my bone folder against the petal, and then I'm pushing up with my thumb on the other side just to curl those petals up. And again, you don't really need to use a lot of pressure to curl that paper. Grab my other one here and curl this one up. Faith, I had on a fleece jacket this morning. I have my fuzzy slippers on, and I was looking for long pants, and they must be in the laundry, the ones I was looking for, because it was kind of chilly here this morning. Although the humidity is starting to come in, so it's about 66 degrees, and it's windy. So yeah, it's a little bit chilly. All right, we can go ahead and assemble our flower. I'm going to start with the largest sections first, and I'm just going to put a drop of glue there. And then I want to make sure that I'm offsetting my petals. So I don't want my petals lined up exactly the same. This gives more fullness to the flower. Oh, hey, Patricia, thanks so much for joining. Thank you. Appreciate it. And then we will glue up the smaller petal sections next. And again, you want to offset those petals. I'm glad you were able to catch the video today, Patricia. Really appreciate it. All right, and one more section, and that is the second smaller petal section. And again, offset the petals. And I'm just going to give that a press down here for just a second. Make sure that's adhered good. Yeah, the weather has been a bit crazy for summer. You know, by this time in June, we're starting to get warm, and it's been rather cool. Now, we did have a couple of days where it hit, you know, into the 80s, and that felt good. But for the most part, we've had rather cool weather. I'm just going to add one more little drop of glue here in the center of our flower. And this is our little flower center. And I don't know if you saw what I did. Too late now, I just put this down to glue. But I put the flower center in the palm of my hand. And I used the cap, the rounded cap on my Take Your Pick tool, and just push down on that flower center to kind of bend up those the stamens on the flower center. And I'm just giving that a good press to make sure that it's going to stay down. But just use my tweezers, or you could use your Take a Pick tool to just kind of bend those little stamens up. I've kind of already done that here on this one, but they're just kind of more interesting if you give them a little bit of a lift. If I could get my tool under there. There we go. All right, so we can go ahead and start putting flowers onto our card front here. And Patricia, I mentioned that this card will fit inside of an A2 envelope. I did test it out. However, I recommend that you put a piece of vellum or cardstock on top of the front of the card before putting it in the envelope. And it will require extra postage. This card will not be machinable, so it will require a bit of extra postage. So our little balmy blue flower got adhered here onto the sentiment label on the left side with liquid glue. And our other two flowers are going to be adhered using Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm just going to place one dimensional here on the back of each of these flowers. And I'm just going to set this one kind of right over here. But super easy to put together. You know, once you get all your die cuts done, this card comes together very quickly. And it makes for quite a pretty card, I think. All right, so that is it for the dimensionals. Let me go ahead and get my tweezers here, and we'll go ahead and glue up our little stems, our little leaf sprigs. When I am gluing up kind of frilly, leafy die cuts like this, I don't put the glue all the way up the leaf. I leave you kind of these top edges unglued, and then that gives me the ability to kind of lift them up a little bit if I'd like to. And I'm just going to tuck that a bit underneath our sentiment label there on this side, and I can see some glue. I got a little bit too much glue. I'm just going to take the tip of my tweezers. You could also use the point of take your pick tool, but I'm just going to kind of clean that up a bit before it dries. We don't want any glue showing on the front of our card. There we go. All right, and let me get the second leaf sprig, see if I can be a little more delicate with the glue. Sometimes it comes out quick. There we go, I got a little better control. Maybe, we'll see. And that's plenty, I think. And I'm going to put this one, tuck it right under those two flowers. Let it hang off those panels a bit. And it doesn't want to stick. See, I was light with the glue and now it doesn't want to stick. I'll just take my bone folder and kind of press it down. Okay, there we go. But you can see, if you don't glue these leaf sprigs down, you know, you can get a little bit of lift out of them, and it's quite pretty. All right, so that is our card front, and all we have left to do is the envelope. We've already stamped our flower on the front of the envelope, and we can go ahead and get the designer series paper on the envelope flat, and we will be done. So super easy card. This card would be, you know, equally as lovely as a birthday card, you know, a friendship card, just a plain note card, I think. Oh, thank you, Mary. Appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and get our paper here on the flap and give it a nice press down. So free shipping today, don't forget. And Countryside Inn Designer Series paper, which I'm using here, is on low inventory. So if you're like me and you're running low, be sure to order it today so you can get that free shipping. Now you do have to have an order of $75 or more. And make sure to check in on my blog tomorrow for the blog hop to see lots of inspiration from my team members. They always do a fabulous job. And just as a reminder, I do upload these Facebook Live videos to my YouTube channel, Inky Stampers. So if you like my content that I provide, be sure to go out to my channel and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. Trying to build that channel up. Eventually, I will be doing YouTube Live videos as well. So appreciate any followers that I can get over there. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the card. I think it's quite pretty. I can think of lots of folks who would like to receive this card, I think. I know my friend's going to appreciate it. Thank you for joining. I will see you next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thanks so much for joining. Take care. Bye-bye.